Part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between a hotel receptionist and a guest. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning, Holiday Plus Hotel East Haven. Can I help you?
Oh, yes, hello. I just booked a couple of rooms online and I think I made a mistake. Can I change it with you?
Of course you can, madam. Give me your surname and I'll have a look for you.
It's Connor, Connor.
And your first name?
It's Susan.
Okay, I think I have you here. Can you confirm your arrival date?
It's the 18th of June.
Okay, I've found you here. So that's leaving on the 2nd of July, which is a total of 15 nights. Is that correct?
Oh, no, I don't think so. It's 2 weeks, so it's actually only 14 days, I think.
Oh, yes, sorry, madam, 14. Okay, I've found you. And you said that you wanted to make some changes to your booking. Is it the dates that you wanted to change?
Oh, no, it's not the dates. That's our family holiday. But I think that I made a mistake with the rooms that I booked.
So, we've got you for 1 double room and 1 single room at the moment.
Yes, I still need the double room, but I would like a twin room instead of the single. You see, my daughter's friend is going to be joining us.
Let me just have a look and see if that's available, Mrs. Connor. Okay, so we do have a double and a twin available at that point.
Great. Can I book that, please?
Of course, but could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Have you considered a family suite? I think you'd be much more comfortable than in the 2 rooms.
So what do you get with the suite?
It consists of 1 double room, a twin and a living room. This would also guarantee that your rooms are together and not spread out over the hotel. It also means that you get an outside terrace to enjoy the sun.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. It sounds expensive.
Actually, it would only be 5% more expensive. The cost of the 2 rooms separately would be £700, and the suite would be £735.
Yes, okay, that would be great.
Okay, I've booked that for you now.
Lovely, thanks.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10.
Okay, the room's all booked for you, madam. While you're on the phone, can I just ask if you had a look at the special offers on our website?
No, what are they?
Well, we have discounts available on our meal options. Your booking already comes with breakfast free of charge in the morning, but we also do half board, where you can have dinner with us, or full board, where all food, drinks and lunch are also included. If you book with me now, I can give you 50% off that package.
Wow, that does sound like great value, but when we're on holiday, we normally like to try out local restaurants, so we'll just stick with what we booked. Thank you.
Okay, well, we do have a lovely buffet in the morning, so I'm sure you'll like it. What about daytime activities? The most popular day trip in the area is the water park. We can offer discounted trips to the park. If you buy 2 full-price adult tickets, then up to 3 kids can enter for free.
Oh, yes, that sounds great. Is there anything else?
Yes, can I ask how you are travelling to us? Many of our guests take advantage of our airport pickup service, where we send a car to collect you. And if you want a cheaper option, you can take our shuttle bus, where you share the journey with other guests.
Well, we're actually hiring a car, so we'll be driving ourselves.
Well, in that case, we do have parking at the hotel, but it's much cheaper if you reserve it in advance. If you don't, it'll cost up to £5 per day, and you could end up paying as much as £60. However, if you reserve a space now, it'll only cost you £13 for your stay with us.
Oh, yes. Can I reserve a parking space then, please?
Yes, of course. So that's all booked for you. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's everything. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, madam. Look forward to seeing you in June.
That is the end of part 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2.
You will hear a conservation worker giving an introductory talk to day volunteers at a nature reserve. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for turning out so early this morning for a day of volunteering. As you all know, at St. John's Nature Reserve Project, our goal is to build a natural paradise. And none of that would be possible without your help. First, let me give you an idea of where you can find different places around the reserve. Can everybody see their map? Yes? Good. Okay, so right now, we are next to the main center and car park. Directly in front of us, we have this lawn section with a stone path running through it. Lying to the left of the path, there are 2 small outbuildings, the wood store and behind it the tool shed, whereas to its right, running parallel to it, we can see Willow Stream, with a bridge to cross it in the middle. This same path leads up to an area of saplings, which are small, recently planted trees, and we call this area the Young Wood. We prefer you not to go into this section, please, as it is still being developed and may be dangerous to walk through at the moment. Also, be careful near the water next to Young Wood. There are no fences, and it can be slippy if you get too close, so remember, no swimming. We have had curious volunteers go for unexpected swims in Duckling Pond in the past. We do encourage you to relax and enjoy the wild birds and frogs to be found here. There are 2 benches around it for this purpose. Right, if you turn here and follow Willow Stream back down a little, you can cross a wooden bridge, which takes you into the eastern section of the park. You will see on your map that in the northeastern section we have an old wood. We generally refer to this as the mature wood. Please feel free to go for a walk around here at lunchtime. You will find a picnic area on the western side, too, just past the clearing, and it can be welcome shade from the sun at midday and provides great views of the birds and ducks over in the pond. From here, if you come out of the wood and follow the edge of it south, you reach the greenhouses, containing the St. John's vegetable garden, and just past these, the chicken coops. Please don't bother the hens. They are busy laying eggs to sell, along with the vegetables and fruits in our farm shop, which is just a little further to the south where the stream finishes. This is just one way in which we make a little money to keep the reserve going. Okay, any questions? Right, so let's discuss the jobs we're going to be doing today.
Before the talk continues, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
We're going to have some breakfast first in the dining area of the main building, and then we'll get started with the jobs. We'll be splitting into two groups, A and B. Most important today, and first on the list, is to clear the weeds from around the main walkway. As you can see, they have grown somewhat over the summer, so we need to clear those so visitors, and ourselves, can walk up and down the path easily. That's the first job for Group A, please. Group B will be moving over the bridge and working in the larger overgrown area. Yes, once again, we'll be cutting and clearing, though we have some special large lawn mowers and strimmers for this, so even though it is a huge area of land, it shouldn't take too long. Once we have this part finished, we'll be doing a little painting. As we make our way over there later, you'll probably notice the bridge looks a little neglected. We've got some special paint, which is the same as the paint on the main building. Group B will do this, while Group A prepares lunch. After lunch, we'll be going down to the greenhouses and vegetable patches. There are lots of vegetables to pick and bring in. That's a job for Group A, so they'll be doing some of that and transferring them to these large green bags, as well as, yes, you've guessed it, some more weeding for Group B, putting that waste into the brown bags. Then, on to the farm shop. Group A will separate the different vegetables, wash them, and put them into the plastic storage boxes. The final job for Group B will be to collect some eggs from the chicken coops and take them to the shop before taking a turn serving customers at the till in the shop, while Group A makes us all a well-deserved cup of tea before we close at 6 o'clock.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3.
You will hear a discussion between two students about gender and education. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23.
Hi, Jamie. Have you done a lot of reading for the seminar this week on gender and education?
Hey, Alice. Yeah, I've done quite a lot. It's all a bit confusing, to be honest. Do you want to sit down and have a chat about it?
Yes, that would be really useful, actually. What's been confusing you?
Well, it just seems like such a huge area. I mean, you can talk about gender in education in primary school up to university, and also there are such huge differences between countries. You know, the statistics are very different for, say, Japan when compared with a developing country.
Well, yes, there's so much stuff about developing countries in education, especially with regards to gender, but that's not what this will be about. The seminar is about the differences in higher education enrolment for men and women. Haven't you looked at the reading list?
Oh, yes. I guess I just got carried away. So, what have you read from the reading list?
Well, I started with the chapter in our set book, you know, the one written by Hall. I thought that was quite an interesting overview, although it was a little short.
Yes, I read that too. It didn't go into much detail, which was fine, but it was a good place to start. And it included lots of references and quotes to check.
I don't think we need to check all of that. It would be a bit too much. Anyway, after reading that chapter, I tried getting some of the other books on the list out of the library, but they were already on loan.
To be honest, that always seems to be the case in our library. It's a good job we've got access to all of these online journals and articles, or we'd never be able to get any reading done.
Agreed. I've read a load of the articles and journals on the list. There are some really eye-opening statistics there. When I first started thinking about this topic, I thought it would be about trying to get more women into university, but it seems like it's men that are underrepresented.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 24 to 30.
Yes. Tell you what, shall we share some of the main facts and figures we've read, and then we can both take some notes?
OK, that sounds like a plan. Well, I guess the most interesting thing I read was a government paper that said the proportion of women going into higher education was 30% higher than men.
Yeah, that was really shocking, wasn't it? But it's not just the numbers getting into university. I also read a report by the Higher Education Policy Institute that said when at university, men are more likely to drop out, and those who get a degree are less likely to get a high pass.
Yes, but we shouldn't overgeneralise here. Women don't dominate in every field. If we took out some really women-dominated degree subjects, like teaching and nursing, then the overall gap would be much smaller. And there are still more men in some subjects, like engineering and science.
True, but that gap is closing fast. And in all the others, there are more women in nearly every university in the country. The thing I found confusing, though, is I couldn't really identify any causes for this.
Well, I read one writer who suggested that men were much less likely to become teachers, and as a result, the education system was more in women's favour, meaning men lack role models.
Yes, I read that in a few places. It seemed mostly anecdotal, though. I'm not too sure how much of a difference it would really make. And anyway, I read quite a bit and I couldn't find any evidence to suggest that it is significant.
Me neither. It seems there needs to be more research in that area. Another cause that I found said that one possible reason was the change in how students were assessed. You know, before the 1980s, schools mostly tested students with exams, but then they shifted to mostly using coursework, which apparently suits girls better than it does boys.
Really? I guess that's true. I mean, I know that I didn't really like doing coursework, but surely that can't have had that much of an impact.
Well, there is something going on. I read an OECD paper that said girls on average spend an hour more a week on homework, and boys are 8% more likely than girls to see school as a waste of time.
Yes, my experience is that boys mess around more, but that might just have been my school. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what the professor says in the lecture.
Yes, me too. His last one was good.
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 4.
You will hear part of a lecture about plasma screen televisions. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our series of lectures on great works of engineering. Today we'll be talking about the inner workings of the plasma television screen, one of the great inventions of our time. Have you ever looked at your television screen and wondered what is happening to produce those images? The technology behind your TV screen is, for me, even more exciting than the shows you're watching. Today I will be talking about two main types of screen: the CRT monitor, and most importantly, the plasma TV screen, which is now, sadly, obsolete. It never replaced the CRT monitor in the same way that the LCD screen did, because despite its clear image and bright colors, consumers were put off by the high cost of the plasma screen, and as such, it never achieved more than a 10% market share. Like the CRT, the plasma TV industry has seen a sharp decline, with countries like Japan ceasing production in 2010, followed by the USA and Europe a few years later, although China still manufactures a small number for the domestic market. CRT production has also completely halted all over the globe. To understand the plasma TV's success and failure, we need to look at the features of this technology compared with the CRT screen. CRT stands for cathode ray tube, and it's the screen which has been in use since the 1930s and is still used in outdated equipment today. By contrast, the idea for the plasma screen, while first described in the 30s, wasn't put into production until the 60s. One of the main issues with CRT monitors that the plasma screen resolved was the size limitation for home use. It wasn't safe to create TVs much bigger than a mere 30 inches before plasma came along and allowed TV manufacturers to significantly expand the screen to great dimensions. The reason for this limitation lies in the CRT's vacuum tube, which carries the risk of exploding if not disposed of carefully. This makes recycling problematic. Similarly, plasma TVs contain harmful metals such as mercury in their light-emitting cells that can enter the ground and cause damage to local wildlife. As a result, several countries have strict regulations on the disposal of all types of television set.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 36 to 40.
Now, we're going to take a look at the basic design of the plasma screen itself. Two of the key characteristics of the plasma screen, its brightness and its thinness, come from its simple design made up of only a few layers. The whole screen usually has a thickness of around 6 centimeters from front to back. The plasma display unit is enclosed between two glass plates. The back one keeps dust out of the unit and protects the electronics, while the front glass plate is completely clear and scratch-resistant to protect the clarity of the screen. Both of these layers are relatively cheap and easy to replace should there be any damage to the unit. Behind this plate, at the front, is a protective layer, which is made of a thin, transparent polymer that stops any static charge from the glass interfering with the electrical signals in the screen. Onto the back of this layer, a coating of magnesium oxide is sprayed, which further ensures that electrical charge is insulated. Under these layers lies the part of the screen that produces the image, the pixel. Plasma TV screens can have over 1 million of these small light-producing points, and, together, they produce the colors to create a clear image. Each pixel is made up of 3 colored cells, which are separated by a dividing wall. These cells contain a mixture of gases that light up when electric current is passed through them, producing either red, green, or blue light. In the right combination, they can create any color our eyes can see. To apply the current, there is an electrical wire behind each cell. A digital processor sends the correct current to each cell to tell it whether to light up or not. And so, across the whole screen, the minute cells light up in sync to produce the image you see. This screen is usually housed in a metal or plastic casing to hold the extra electronics attached to the screen at the bottom. As you can imagine, the electrical current required to produce so many different colours is significant, and as such, the plasma TV consumes a lot of electricity. Moving on, I'd like to discuss some of the issues the plasma TV manufacturers have had over the years.
That is the end of part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
That is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.